Welcome back, guys. Today we'll be finishing off the first season of the series. Do all the usual things, like liking and subscribing if you haven't. And after I review these 2 episodes, I will also review the opening and ending to the series. So, if you're interested, stick around for that. Alright, let's get going.
Avengers!
Assemble.
We have a strong opening with the Council of Comics singing their anthem, and I have to say it sounds pretty good. Mike is still trying to come to the reality that Lucy is X, and she confronts him at school and tells him her reasoning for wanting the comics. She explains the creator of the comics, Scott, is her uncle, and we then go into a flashback. We see that they had a good relationship, with her being wowed by Scott's art ideas and Scott probably just liking hanging out with his niece. Her father gets angry with Scott because he sees his interest with comics as a waste of time and doesn't want Lucy to end up like him. She ended up not seeing Scott for many years afterwards until she got a letter from him, basically telling her that he is in trouble and he leaves his comics with her. She then goes to his apartment, but all his stuff is gone, and the landlord doesn't know anything about his comics. She did find one, being the Great Finger, and from that point on, the story bridges back into the first episode of the series. Nick comes in and shows them the attack the Council of Comics is committing on the City Hall, so they go to suit up. And the Council is doing a pretty good job of fighting off the police. And we get to see my glorious King Sparkules again. And they do end up defeating the police as Mike and Lucy arrive. We cut over to Super Scott being pleased with what the Council are doing, but he just says that all of it is going according to plan. And then we get probably the best cliffhanger and the best shot of the show of the Council of Comics and our heroes charging each other with epic music playing, ending the episode. When I first watched this, it really got me hyped for the next episode. This is going to be another long discussion section since we got introduced to 9 new characters. First, we will get the creator of the comics out of the way, Scott, who is voiced by Aidan Rudd, again, just like Super Scott. And what we saw from him in this episode just tells us that he was a kind man and that he didn't seem to be that successful as an artist, with how Lucy's father was treating him. But years later, something was happening to him that made him go into hiding and leave his comics to Lucy. So it still leaves a lot of questions about Scott himself. So now, let's go over to all of the Council of Comic members and their heroes. Skullcrusher is up first, and she is voiced by Valerie Pierce. And she owns Jinxing Man, who is voiced by Jason Griffith, who has voiced Sonic and Shadow from the Sonic franchise, Usopp from the 4Kids dub of One Piece, and Miyamoto Usagi from the Ninja Turtles. Jinxing Man basically has tentacle powers thanks to his entire body being a root, along with having them be able to branch out, creating a shield for others. Next is Papa Princess, who is voiced by Dinesh Alvis, and his hero is Sugar Sugar Pang Pang, who I will just be referring to as Sugar Pang because I don't want to repeat her name so many times. She is voiced by Jenny Yokobori, and she seems to have the power to turn anything into a fruit, which seems to be a decent enough power. King Blockbuster is voiced by Brent Mukai, who has voiced Yoko from Demon Slayer and Scratchman Apu from One Piece. His hero is Toxo, who is voiced by Lucas Schuneman. He has the power to suck in toxic air around him and expel it somewhere else or at the enemy. Lastly is Hot Button 81, who is voiced by Gianna Montegrano, with his hero being Locust, whose power seems to be his sheer leg strength. And he seems to have a heavy inspiration from Kamen Rider. He is also voiced by Aaron Rudd. And I have to say, out of all of them, I don't know why Hot Button was aura farming as much as he was, with him not caring he was being shot at. Something I like in the episode was Mike's vision of X when he saw Lucy, because I like the lighting they had, and it really made her eyes pop. But the main thing I want to talk about is us finally getting some info on Lucy. We basically got her full backstory, with her being the true inheritor of the comics, which explains why she was so driven to collect all of them. But she definitely let her drive consume her, since she was putting a lot of innocent people in danger with her fights. And seeing Mike be the kind of person that Scott would want to have to protect the comics woke her up from her obsession. And we now see that both of them have come together to stop the Council of Comics, who have honestly done a fair amount of damage. And we will see if they can handle this fight, since it's a 2-on-5 battle. We come back from right where we left off with the battle beginning, and as usual the animation is just great. We get to see some interesting interactions with the heroes and their powers, like Crying Man accidentally powering up Jinxing Man, and Crying Man attacking Sparkules, but because of his power, an electrical current goes back to him, taking him out of the fight. We get another awesome moment from Locust Man using his comical eyes, and it is just perfect.
Evildoers! I shall defeat you in the name of justice!
Pumping energy on.
Locust power ignition!
Mike and Lucy are pretty much on the brink of losing, so they fuse the comical eyes abilities of Gravity to catch all the heroes in his gravity bubble, and Sylph to pull them all in, and to further add to the force of the attack, ultimately beating them and forcing them back into their books. Durko can't believe that they were all defeated, but he shows that he has one last comic, Mac B, and uses his ultimate Iron Planet, and then somehow re-summons Sparkules using his ultimate as well, which will ignite the giant metal ball filled with all kinds of combustibles, which would blow up the entire area. Mike has a vision of what he would imagine to be the future if that thing explodes, and seeing this gives him an extreme boost to his imagination, managing to summon 5 heroes at once, and uses 4 of their ultimates to push back the mass and finally destroy it. Man, this was a exhilarating moment when I first saw it. Even watching it back now gave me some goosebumps.
I have to save them!
This moment was the moment I decided to review the series, and to me has been the peak of the series so far. Lucy goes to check on Mike, with him still saying he has to save everyone, giving us another flashback to her and Scott, with it transitioning to Super Scott saying that Durko served his purpose and that now the world knows about the hero books, ending the season on that note. This was just a full-on action episode with all the fights we got to see, with Durko actually surpassing Lucy in power because he was able to not only summon 2 heroes at once, but he re-summoned Sparkules after he was knocked out and did a fusion move like they just did by himself. He really showed he was a serious threat, and I can comfortably raise him from a joke villain to a serious one. But of course, right after he does this feat, Mike blows him out of the water by summoning 5 heroes, with him re-summoning Crying Man after he was defeated, and uses all of their ultimates except for Mummy Girl, that just uses one of her regular moves to throw Great Finger. Now on the character side of things, Mike truly showed that he has the heart of a hero, pushing beyond his limits to save everyone, because he did not just save Lucy, but everyone that was in City Hall as well. Even as he is passing out, he still is thinking about getting everyone to safety. He has had a great character arc so far in the show. We really only got one thing from Lucy's character-wise, which was her concern for Mike because he took a beating this episode, along with him reminding her of Scott again, probably seeing that he is more of a hero Scott envisioned than she is. This was just a fantastic episode all around. None of the comics on screen switched hands this episode, so I don't have to go over that. So now, let's move on to me covering the opening and ending songs to the series. So with the opening, a lot of people who have made videos about the show also comment on how sucky the lyrics to it is. It is basically sounding like broken English with how they are written. The only good sounding part is the ending, saying, I do give them some points, with the visuals looking like the classic American comic style, but that's really it for it. It's simple and at least serviceable for what it is. The ending, I can talk more about. The ending song is definitely the better of the two. I do think if it's from anyone's perspective, it's partly from Mike's. Talking about how he is waking up to go to school and how he is going through puberty, with his life getting brighter whenever he sees his crush being Lucy, and that he doesn't really have the guts to talk to her. I also like that the ending is a freeze frame of a lot of the readers having a battle in the street and all the heroes using their abilities. It's cool and cost effective since you just have to move the camera around once you pose them all. It's just a really chill ending winding you down after the episode. I did some polls about the characters from the last video. The first round, Mr. Justice won, with my boy Sparkules being second. The second one, Super Scott obviously won, with Sylph being in second, and the others did not get any votes. With the final round for the heroes had Super Scott win. It was a toss-up for who I thought the fandom would choose here. With the new readers, the first round went to Ed, with a few people actually voting for Bucko, and no one voted for Hannigan. I thought he would get at least one, but I guess not. With round 2 being a clean sweep for Mrs. Cubbinson. Again, I am surprised Timo got no votes. And then for the final round, Ed versus Mrs. Cubbinson, the people voted for Ed, with a commenter talking about how they want Ed to join the team, which I do have to agree on. I hope you enjoyed, now that I have reviewed all of Season 1. I would appreciate if you liked the video and subscribed if you did enjoy. I am not sure if I'll be able to get another review out this month, but I'll try. And I think that's all I have to say, so I will see you guys later. Bye guys.